Hey everybody, it's Barry Kleiman. How are you guys? I actually tried to do this earlier today and the technology crapped out on me, so I'm going to try it again. We have Sunday Q&A coming up. This is Friday, of course, the 24th of July. And I said we would have Thursdays and Sundays for Q&A. And I wanted to also get the homework out there. I feel like um, maybe I breezed through the first lessons kind of quickly. I apologize, certainly. I've never done it before in that setting, taught the stuff that I wanted to teach in that setting. So I want to be clear, and I titled this video. If you haven't seen any of my stuff, I usually title videos with song titles and lyrics. And there's a song by Chet Baker called There'll Never Be Another You. And of course, that was some of the urging and promise of Dr. Edith Eger, who I mentioned, personal hero of mine. Anyway, it's really important as we try to move through this journey, and it is a journey, right, from where you are to where you want to be, that you understand how critical foundation is. And so the very first module, the first things I was beginning to talk about are you. The easiest way for me to explain it, I said you were the magic. It's a quote by, a quote by Toni Morrison. Pardon me again, in Dr. Eger's quote. Excuse me, really bad allergies. Of course, you're important, right? You're you. There'll never be another you. Maybe if I can figure it out, I'll read the song lyrics at the end or put them in the chat. But not only is it fundamentally important, but until you dimensionalize it, right? Until you do the homework that I'm about to explain to you, it's going to be suboptimal for you to go out and tell your story to the world, which is really what this program is about. Right? We're really trying to help you make sure that the world knows about you in the best way possible, the most optimized way possible, and not wing it. You are too important. There'll never be another you. So the first thing I ask you to do, of course, is kind of calibrate, right? I said, please write down what you're trying to get accomplished as you know yourself today, yesterday. Also, write down what you've done to this point to move the needle in that direction. And then ultimately, how's it going? There's a great quote. I read a Deming quote before. If you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. Certainly, all of what I'm trying to teach you here, share with you here, is a process. But another great Deming quote is that which can be measured can be improved. So you've got to have to know where you are and what you've been trying to do to get what you want. Otherwise, we don't know how to fix it, right? And again, if you don't know there's a problem, there is no chance to fix it. So that was the first writing assignment. First thing in your journal. The next thing is what I'd really like you to do, and again, this is with complete honesty, humility, etc. in mind, is on another page, next page, write down me. Me. And write 3, 4, 5 things about you. You're caring, you're a good friend, you're good in foreign languages, you play a mean violin. I don't know. But you want to try to get yourself dimensionalized as best you can. You can write 3 things, 5 things, 8 things. Doesn't matter to me. But I want you to get familiar. I'm really apologizing for the allergies here. Pardon me. I want you to get familiar with you and some of the things that make you you. I wrote a blog piece once. I called it The Uniqueness of You. U-O-Y. Uniqueness of you. Y-O-U. You are unique. Absolutely guaranteed the day you were born. Nobody had the same DNA. Nobody had the same fingerprint. Okay? You're you. what we want to share with the world is what your traits are, what your strengths are, what you're about, how you dimensionalize that, how you talk, how you tell stories, how you are, right? Because if you want the world to accept you, to give you a chance to do what it is you say you want to do, you've got to be able to explain that to them in no uncertain terms. I'm sorry, by the way, I keep looking at the light and I should be looking at the camera. Anyway, we're going to get to all that later, but I don't want you to blow this part off. This is the foundation. Think about if you were going to build a house. The most important part is the foundation, right? The underpinning that will hold everything up. That's you. So anyway, I want you to just write a little bit about yourself, okay? And whatever it is. Weaknesses, fine, don't really know. Hate broccoli, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But whatever just comes to mind, kind of a brain dump. Again, let's get familiar with talking about ourselves, writing about ourselves, whatever. This is, remember, the book of you. Put your name on the front. Write the book of me. And let's start putting you, your traits, your interests, where you are today, and let's start to chronicle it, right? Really important. So that's the first. So write about you, what you know about yourself. You have a responsibility to yourself to optimize, okay? Huge, huge thing. And the only way to optimize, you can write this down, the only way to optimize is to be clear about what you are, what you're about, right? And what it is you're trying to do. There's no point. You can't possibly optimize what you don't know what you're about or what you want to do. I'm all about optimization. I'm trying to do that with this program. The other thing I want you to write down is a vision that you have for yourself. I'm 100% clear that will change over time. Maybe not. I shouldn't say 100%. But you've got to start where you are, right? Can't remember the quote by Arthur Ashe, I know, is start where you are with what you got. And there's one more piece to that. So you have to start where you are. So what is your vision for yourself as you know yourself today? It could be, this is just a vision, right? Like something, doesn't have to be tangible. But if somebody said to you, what do you want to do with your life? See, it's a good question. I've thought a lot about it. I wrote in a journal the other day. And I think for right now, this is the way I see myself. Or really my vision for myself is to pay off college loans or whatever, right? It could be a micro vision. Once again, get used to kind of thinking and accessing parts of your brain and then write it down. Okay, vision for yourself. Write down why. Why is that your vision? Again, well, I don't want to be in debt. So my vision for myself right now for the next 2 years of my life is to pay off my college loan. I'll work 3 jobs if I have to do it. I don't want to wake up 5 years from now in debt. That's your why. Again, when you give things a why, you give them energy and you give them tangibility. We're going to get much more into whys moving forward. And this is, again, the warm-up, the foundation. Okay? And then again, as far as you know yourself, what are your non-negotiables? What are you not willing to do no matter what? Or what must you have no matter what? I'm going to live and stay here in the Bay Area. I've got grandkids. My son is in Los Angeles. I can get in the car and go see him. I don't want to go live in some retirement community in someplace cheaper. Non-negotiable. Okay. To be honest, to launch the Fifth Quarter Project was at some level non-negotiable for me. It was part of my heart. I couldn't, I toss and turn now at night anyway, trying to make sure I get all of this right. But anyway, for me, that's what I want to do with my life right now. Okay, so write down whatever you know about yourself as non-negotiable. Could change tomorrow. I don't care. Again, this is about you. But you've got to get these things somewhat tangible, right? Somewhat cemented in your brain. Don't worry. I told you, you're allowed to change. Okay, you're allowed to change. The reason that this is so important is because what's going to happen, and I talked about this the other day, there's distractions waiting around the corner, phone ringing, and God, I smelled a fire today near my house. I was petrified that, oh my God, the last thing we need right now are fires. Stuff happens. You've got to have certain things cemented to the best of your ability so you don't get off course. You don't drift. Understanding what you're about, understanding what matters to you, understanding your vision, non-negotiables will keep you from drifting. Okay? Everybody got that? So that's really what I want you to kind of get written down. You have an opportunity to choose. You're going to get to make choices, unlike my German short hair pointer. Okay? I'm going to stop with this right now. The other thing I want you to do is write a win statement, W-I-N. I'll talk about that tomorrow, only because my voice is not great right now. I'll do another one of these live. We're already 10 minutes into this. I want to talk about what game you're playing. I want to talk about what success looks like to you. Again, not to me. And maybe toss in a couple goals. And then I want to play that little game that we talked about before. And I'll put up a graphic. I'll put it in the chat to show you about the 3 people who know you and what you respect about them, why you admire them. Okay, and I'll put that little graphic up. And I also want you to write all this in your book. That game is fascinating, and that'll get us ready. Homework done. Questions, fire away. Write to me. And that'll get us ready to start to get to the next part, which is start to talk about all of this and how it relates to the world, right? But right now, once again, this is about you. There will never be another you. It's really important to understand. The song lyrics go something like, there'll be other songs to sing, another fall, another spring, but there'll never be another you. There won't. Why not take this journey? Why not be the very best you can be and understand that there's a process to it? This is not, if it's coach speak, it's coach speak to try to help you get there. Again, no agenda for your life other than to teach you ways to think about yourself and questions to ask yourself and build a process to make you best you can be, from where you are to where you want to be. Okay? So I hope that helps a little bit with the homework. If it doesn't, put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. Write me an email if you're embarrassed to put it in the Facebook group. Fine with me. It doesn't matter. Okay? So you have my email, certainly. And thank you. I apologize for my voice. I'm going to get back on tomorrow and do the rest of this, the rest of the homework that I gave you. And I hope this is helpful for you. Silence is deafening. I haven't heard from any of you really. So that either means that I'm boring the crap out of you, or you've got other things going on, or you just haven't had time to get to this. But I can assure you this. I'll leave you with this story. So in 2001, I was running a successful executive search firm. I had a bunch of money in the bank, several $100,000 in cash, and I had investments, and I had a house, and all these things. I was, what's the math? 29 years into it. I think that's right. Anyway, a lot of years into it. And the bottom fell out of the job market. I mean, you can look on graphs. I tell this story often. Go look at 2001 stock market. I literally didn't make another nickel, not a cent, for 2 years. It was devastating. It almost cost me my house, my sanity. I have a wonderful wife. It didn't cost me my marriage, but I was nervous, and I had young kids at the time. Kids were early teens, petrified. So what I did is I finally said, yes, I had spent all this time in my career doing what I do, successfully doing what I do, had a thriving firm, 7 people working for me, not an enemy that I knew of. And all of a sudden, it was almost like COVID in the job market, not to compare the two, but it was a disaster. And again, you can look it up. So I said, well, there's a missing piece to me. Obviously there's something missing, because if I could have planned this whole business and been successful and all of a sudden have it all fall apart, I didn't build a strong enough model. It was humbling, honestly. I think about it now, I get a little nervous. It was humbling, but the greatest thing I did, figured it out. It took a lot of thinking, soul searching, talking to a few people who I respect. And I went out and I found a coach, a business coach. The guy whose name is Jay Abraham. I could never afford Jay's tutelage now. I really couldn't afford it then, but I got into some groups. So I got into some groups and I start to learn the missing piece. And the missing piece, again, my chops were good. I knew my business, but I didn't really understand how to scale it and grow it and make it bulletproof. And so I learned about something that I'm going to teach all of you about, okay, which is to build a bulletproof model in your life. And it all starts with a concept that we're going to talk about next Thursday. I'm going to leave it hanging there for a minute. If you've read my book, you'll know what it is, but it's the most important thing that you'll know about that maybe nobody ever told you, which is a shame, because it's everywhere. It's all around us in everything we do. But fortunately, I was able to get it figured out. I righted the ship, and this is 2020, 19 years later. I'm here, I'm talking about it. I have a house, I have a business. I got to retire from my search business to put the Fifth Quarter Project in motion. But if it not for reaching out and understanding the limitations and knowing what I didn't know, I don't know what the story would have been. It's one of the main reasons I'm doing this now, because I think there's a gaping hole in institutional education, and I think most people suffer from that hole. So much of what we're going to talk about is how to patch it up and be aware of it and make sure that you don't fall into the hole that I fell into. Okay? So that's it. You know the homework. Please build yourself a strong foundation. Write a beautiful, wonderful, credible, humble, honest book of you. Don't worry about crossing stuff out. You know, we have Kitty's an editor. She makes a living editing. You can edit anything. Just don't edit your dreams. Okay? So, yeah, have a great night. Apologize about the voice. I'll do this again tomorrow. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a good evening.